Right. As we continue, Joseph Perling, Cindy is there. Okay. Calendar. Sunday evening, November 28th, which is pretty much like this Sunday evening, is the first night of Hanukkah. Sunday evening, November 28th. To mention, though I make no money out of this, Saturday afternoon, November 4th, you can Google and find it. Saturday afternoon, November 4th, the World Union for Progressive Judaism is putting on a Hanukkah concert. There are concerts all over the place. But this one is going to star and feature Rabbi Cantor Angela Buchdahl. So that is absolutely guaranteed to be beautiful. That's a guarantee from me to you. So if you're interested, November 4th, check it out. World Union for Progressive Judaism, Hanukkah concert, Saturday afternoon, November 4th.
November 4th or
I think
December?
you mean December, don't you, Rabbi?
I said December 4th, but I wrote. I'm reading my notes accurately. I didn't type my notes.
I think you meant December. We all understood.
You just wanted to pick up on my declining and okay. Now, Cindy, anything going? Cindy, have we found you yet? No.
Yeah, we got
Hi.
it.
Hi.
Hi, I'm babysitting, so.
Oh, you certainly are. Okay. Okay.
Want to say hi?
Hannah Goal, I get credit for one additional person. Okay.
Okay, we have the Hanukkah dinner. It's going to be a temple-wide event, but Sisterhood is hosting the dinner, and it's going to be a lovely service after with klezmer music. It's only $10 for a wonderful dinner, but you need to register probably by Monday. It's going to be a big crowd. So it should be a wonderful evening and hope you'll join us. We're also collecting towel sets for the homeless
What's the
shelter.
date? What's the date?
Next Friday, the 3rd.
The 3rd.
December 3rd.
Yeah. Yep.
What's the time?
Dinner at 5:15, services as usual at 6:30.
Right. Cindy, you said there's something about your collecting something?
Yeah, Sisterhood is collecting towel sets, socks, and toiletries for the women's homeless shelter on Cloverfield. So if you could drop them off at the temple, bring them, if you're on the board, you could bring them Wednesday to the meeting, you could bring it to the dinner, or drop it off anytime
Super.
at the university campus.
That's a great annual project.
Yes.
Great and annual. That's great. Okay.
Diane, we'll talk about helpers at the meeting Wednesday.
You're not supposed to do cross conversations. There got to be some rules here. Okay. Jim Ruxin. Jim, yes. Hi, Jim.
I have been taking a little holiday myself, and I don't have anything chosen for a week from tonight, December 4th, but we will have a film discussion group. And I promise it'll be as good as the last films.
Okay. All right. So that'll be
The 4th at 7:30.
December 4th, 7:30, and it's a surprise.
A surprise, right? It'll surprise me more than anything else, but
Okay. All right. Okay, fine. So now we're going to do a little bit of checking in to see if you want to share something about Thanksgiving or Effie.
Yeah, I forgot to mention last week that Shulamit and I celebrated our 59th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
wow.
Congratulations, Mazel tov. Wow,
Thank you.
That's fabulous. 59.
Fantastic. Mazel tov. Simon tov and mazel tov and mazel tov. Very, very good. Thank you. That's terrific. Okay. Anything else going on that would involve how things are going in your lives? You do anything special over Thanksgiving or, anything like that? Loris?
Yes, my son Billy is getting married in December 4. He was supposed to get married in November. He had
Right.
COVID, and they postponed it, and it's December 4, so I won't be joining the sisterhood, but this is going to be a big event. So looking very much forward to it.
Excuse me, you're choosing your son's wedding over a sisterhood event.
Yes, I am, actually.
Cindy, please take note. Okay. But that's fabulous. Mazel tov.
Thank you so much. We're very excited. Yeah.
That's great. Anything else? Anyone else have something important to share? Like, have you given a major lecture someplace, or have you witnessed a Hanukkah miracle or anything like that? No, nothing like that. Mara, when are you going to publish something? I'm waiting.
Okay. The spring.
You know, that's a long time between publications.
I'm well aware of that.
Oops, moving on to another topic. Okay, is that it? Are we good? We good? Everything else? Brad, you're well? Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so we're going to go to Vayeshev, Genesis 37, verse 12 and following, the Plout 247, the Women's Commentary 212. Okay.
Say again, we're at 37. What? I'm sorry. Could you give that again?
It's Genesis 37, 12.
37:12. Thank you.
37, 12.
Uh,
So, all right. I had
Got it.
an interesting close to my Thanksgiving orgy of food. My 11-year-old granddaughter, the youngest of all the grandchildren, she's the youngest, decided that while the table was being cleared, I needed to engage her in a theological discussion. Saba, is there a God or not? And what's the business of heaven and hell? And what do you really believe?
How old is she?
11.
Oh.
And I use this expression, and I'm sure many of you have had the same experience. When you finally meet a child or a grandchild's mind, when you meet them, I mean, you know them all their lives, you do things, but there comes a moment when you run into the mind and it's alive and it's working. And of course, I told her everything that she needed to hear in order to be a good and believing Jew, so long as she doesn't go to Mea Sharim or become a Haredi. Then otherwise she's going to be fine. Okay, so here we have the close, the final section of the book of Genesis, and it's all about Joseph. It's all about Joseph. It becomes one big, wonderful running narrative, one great narrative. And the unit holds together pretty well. There are always little indications of where editing may or may not have occurred. So we're going to go to 37:12. Oh, there we are. Joseph had just finished sharing as an act of love his wonderful dreams with his brothers. And they reacted so well. Oh, we're going to bow down to you. Mom and dad are going to bow down to you. That sounds like, a wonderful thing to have happen. So that occurred. Verse 11 says it pretty well. His brothers detested him, which is a pretty clear statement. But his father kept the matter in mind, and believe me, centuries of rabbinic commentary have tried to figure out what that meant. What did it mean that Jacob kept it in mind? Filed it away for future use, looked at it, but did nothing? All kinds of possibilities. Now, verse 12, something happens. And when his brothers, Joseph's brothers, went to tend their father's flock at Shechem, Israel, by the way, Jacob is going to be heavily Israel here. Israel said to Joseph, surely your brothers are tending the flock at Shechem by now. Come, let me send you to them. And Joseph responded in the words of Abraham, here I am, Hineni. Israel then said to him, pray, go see how your brothers are and how the flock is doing, and bring me back word. Okay, tell me about Jacob's mission to Joseph. What do you think about that? We just read the little note that said, and his brothers detested Joseph. And the father took note of it. And now dad sends Joseph out into the pasture, far away from Google and any other way to survey his activity. And what does he want Joseph to do? What does he want Joseph to do? Yeah, Effie.
Spy on them.
Oh, that's that. Well, yes. Yes, he wants Joseph to go. So, okay, now, Joseph, I know your brothers hate you, and I know you have an ego larger than mainland China, but I want you to go and tell me how your brothers are doing with all of my property, with the flocks, and tell me what they're doing and how they're managing, and the flock's healthy. Bring back an insider report. What's going on here? Harv.
Doesn't he want Joseph to become a man at some point? I mean, in the larger sense?
That's
That's
fine. So you're saying, Joseph, you're no longer a kid. Get out there and do some administrative work. You are a very nice person, Harv. Yes, I mean, yes, sure. Go out there. Anyone else have any comments on Jacob's assignment to Joseph? Oh, please, Lisa Beth.
I think he's just continuing to demonstrate his favoritism by basically sending him to his bad brothers and having him be the good guy back to dad.
Yeah, I don't know about good guy. Weasel seems to be a more appropriate term, but okay, good guy. Yeah, Joseph, man up. You're a big guy now. Go out there, use your iPad, take note of all the flocks and all that, and bring me back a report. By the way, your brothers may see you doing this, and I would suspect that you should never turn your back on them. What are we learning about Israel, Jacob? What are we learning? Natalie, you had your hand up, or?
Oh, well, there's something else I see in this, and that is very often parents think that they are smart enough to maybe help their children get along better and give suggestions to them, which we know they'll never listen to anyhow. But the parent thinks that they may have some power in this. That's what I see here as well.
What I saw on the screen were 4 individuals breaking out in laughter when you said that. And I know who you are, but I'm not going to name names.
Oh, was that good or bad?
No, it's like, yes, we
They agree
tried.
or not?
Yes, we tried. No, it didn't work. At least
Right.
that's.
It's a good thing Donna's not on today.
Well, let's not go there. That's not fair.
We don't, yeah.
Okay.
I'm her buddy. I'm going to tell her.
So we have a situation in which Jacob, Israel, and we know that there are different reasons for the name, is being sent into the lion's den. He really is. No matter something's going to happen there. It's not going to be good. But we go on. I don't want to prejudice the story. I love when Joseph answers, "Here I am, Hineni." There is a book curiously titled Hineni, and it actually is a really beautiful collection of all the times within the Tanakh that major figures respond to God's call or whatever with Hineni, here I am. And among the things that are really useful in a world that desperately needs change are people strong enough to say, this has to be done, Hineni. I'll be there. I'll do it. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to fix it, Hineni. So if you look it up in Google, it really is a very, very interesting book. Now, go see how your brothers are. Bring me back word. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. That's a very fraught sentence. It looks totally boring. What's unusual about this sentence? This is one of those moments when you see a little bit of the editorial work within the text. What do you see in this? Have you ever been to Shechem in the north? Shechem is on a hilltop. Shechem is on a hilltop. Unfortunately, the text says Shechem is in a valley. Okay, the rabbis had two choices. One is to say God's sense of geography was a little messed up. Or they could say there is a message here. And of course, their option was there's a message here. The valley of Hebron, if you look at the term valley, the valley of Hebron, the word for valley in Hebrew is emek. Some of you know old Chalutzim songs, Emek Israel, Emek, the valley. So it's called, the rabbis say, the valley of Hebron because there's going to be something really, really important happening here. And you have to enter, the rabbi said, ba'amuka shel hadavar. You got to enter the depth of the matter. Emet, amuka, same word. So God intentionally said that Hebron is in a valley just so that we should be told that we have to go into this matter very, very carefully. Okay, but then Valley of Hebron. Oh, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. The Valley of Hebron today, where the cave of Machpelah is, the Valley of Hebron, which is on a hill, and he came to Shechem. Tell me about the parallelism of Hebron, Hebron, and Shechem. What do they represent? Because they are representatives here. In the days of the first kingdom, there was first of all a Davidic kingdom which centered on Jerusalem, but had strong Hebron ties. Jerusalem, Hebron, not that far apart. And you know that if you follow along in the geopolitical stuff of today, Hebron is always referred to as the second most sacred city, second only to Jerusalem for the Jews. So there's Hebron. What did Shechem become? Shechem became the capital of the northern kingdom of Israel when the north broke away from the Davidic kingdom of the south. So here you have a representative of Hebron, a representative of old line Jerusalem, Davidic, going out into the land of the enemy, Shechem. Now, I don't know tomorrow how much we can prove out of this, but it's just for me an interesting reference to how a later writing of this story brought together the two polar competing elements in Jewish history. And any thought?
Well, I was thinking more about Shem 3 chapters earlier, which is where it was dangerous for Dinah to go out, and she got raped when she went to Shem. So it's, for me, what echoes is this is a dangerous place for a young person to be going on his own, as it was for her. So I'm wondering if that too plays a role.
I am absolutely positive that it does, because it's in the same storyline. It's here. So Jacob sends his son into a very dangerous place, and it's also a place of division within Jewish history. I have a note here that I'm supposed to look at. If you could look at verse 12 in the Hebrew without needing to read the Hebrew. Do you see anything funny in the Hebrew, even if you don't read the Hebrew? You can see something funny there. Anybody? Sherlock Holmes? You see the two stars on top of one of the words? That's all. It just stands out. It's different. It's just different. And I love that there's a little note down below. This is one of the 10 places in the Torah which has additional markings on words. So there are 10 places in the Torah where these dots, these stars appear, and we don't know why. 10 places. This is one of them. Even I can't make a fancy story out of it, but there it is. It's a little bit different. Okay, so we go on.
Rabbi,
Ma'am, who? Yes, where?
Mara,
Yes, Mara, yes.
I have a question based on what you and Rabbi Ashkenazi said. Is this then not a story about Joseph, but a story about Jacob's inability to make good choices?
Okay. Where does your question lead you, Mara?
I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking those who are wiser.
Okay, when we run into what, well, Dr. Ashkenazi is wiser. I'm just older. There are a lot of things happening in this story. And it's a reflection, in my mind, inadequate as it is, of a later reality. The later reality is how the tribes divided up and how the 2 in the south, the 10 in the north, form separate kingdoms. Who becomes a predestined hero? Who becomes a loser? Okay? And when you look at the roles that the brothers play, even in deciding, do we throw him in the pit, or do we just skewer him, or how do we handle Joseph? And we have back and forth conversations about brothers. It's not just about the brothers. It actually is about the tribal affiliations that these men had in the future, retrojecting into the past, so that they can deserve or earn the role that they have later on. Did that make any sense? Not, it didn't. Oh, great.
It did, but I guess I'm thinking more about Jacob and his decisions. That there's something more about how we make decisions, and I don't know. I don't. It's not something that troubles me historically. It for me poses a question of why are we seeing the choices that Jacob makes, and what does it tell us either about our ability to understand what God is trying to tell us, or an inability of understanding the lessons for behavior in a more general sense? That probably doesn't make any sense at all, but.
Actually, I pinned you down and followed, but I'm going to give Brad a chance. Brad would like.
Well, Mara, I'm going to try to take a stab at this, because if we think back to the Dinah story, Jacob did not, at the end of the story, he does not entertain any of the moral, ethical issues there. He's only interested in the practicality of it. What's this going to mean in terms of my relationship with my neighbors? And here we see another practical Jacob. He's concerned about his flock, and he's putting that first and thinking about that and not his children. So I think it's a continuation of his Achilles heel.
As long as we're mixing mythological metaphors, I'd like to throw in what is now my favorite television show, Succession. And you watch it too, Natalie? You talk about father caring zero for the well-being of children, and how family is turned into a full-blown civil war every single day. Every single day. Yeah, so sometimes, unlike us, there are parents who don't think about the children. So, Mara, as you well know, because you do Midrash, one of the great things about Torah text, we can do what we're doing with it, right? Expand it a little bit. We can actually just read it the way it is, which is what I would never recommend. Or we can take an expansionist perspective, like the Zohar will do, like Philo did, like others did, and use it as a pretext for teaching lessons that we want to be taught. It's kind of like eisegesis as opposed to exegesis, when you drive meaning into the text. What is available, Mara, you can certainly use this text for a course on parent-child relations or on decision-making. You can use it as a paradigm. You can use it as a model, and that's totally legitimate. I think it's reasonable to say that wasn't the intention, but great literature doesn't just confine itself to the intention of the author. It's do you remember all these stories about you go up to an artist and say, well, what did you mean when you painted this? The normal reaction is for the painter to hit you over the head. That just, no, the point is not for me to tell you what I meant. The point of the author here is also, what did they mean? But it's also what's available. I remember giving a lecture once on models of leadership based upon the life of Moses. It was a brilliant lecture. Now, the fact of the matter is, I picked and plucked. Did the Torah get written to teach us how someone should be a good leader? No, but it's available. It's part of the conversation we have. Mara, did I respond? Did Brad respond to where you were going?
You both responded, except I would suggest that and I know we've gone back and forth on this, that what we see in Torah, to say such a meaning wasn't intended is something that I can't accept, because it seems if Torah makes available to us various readings, then there's no reason to suggest that they weren't intended by God if Torah is revelation.
Okay, yes, Yes, I would totally agree with that comment. Effie?
I was going to say something similar. The Bible isn't, God didn't write a book about perfect people. God didn't tell us that we are a perfect people and that we make mistakes. And the only way you can learn the right thing to do is look at other people's mistakes and see what's wrong and try to do something different. But in no case, not one of our heroes in the Bible, and I mean in the Bible, not just the Torah, our heroes are not perfect. And you have to learn from their mistakes how to keep your life better.
And Effie, absolutely, yes. That is a way of having dialogue with the Torah. Absolutely. And when you have in the comment in Pirkei Avot, hafoch bo v'hafoch bo ki kulei bo, keep turning it over and keep turning it over, because you know what, folks? Everything's in it. Kulei bo. Everything's in it. If you go, if you look, you will find. Yeah, you can talk about leadership. You can talk about behavior. You can talk about human beings are not angels. We're not perfect. All that stuff. To try to understand what might have been the motivations of those who actually took quill to parchment to write this down is an exercise that academics pursue all the time. And the fact that they pursue it all the time is a good indication that there is no single clear answer. So yes, I'm very comfortable with that. It's a multifaceted thing. Dr. Ashkenazi.
Yeah, you just made the point. I was going to make the point. Let me start by saying the Torah never says that God wrote the Torah, so I don't feel I have to claim God wrote the Torah. The people who did put quill to the parchment were working on multiple levels. So yes, it is a political, socially and politically and religiously driven document, as well as attentive to humans and how we read. So like a really great literature, it has many levels. One of them is that it does try to present and prepare for the world in which there is a northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, because it knows that's what's going to happen. At another level, it touches how each of us lives. And it's not either or. So both the political reading that you, Rabbi Davids, suggest and Mara's awareness of the human dimension seem to me in the text, and I would guess, because it's in the text and the way and the fine way in which it's presented, that the writers intend us to see all of these dimensions, not just one. So.
I wish I'd said that. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's just go on because this is a fun thing. Verse 15. There a man happened upon him. This is a strange locution. Vayimtzaehu ish, and a man found him. Okay, a man happened on him as Joseph was wandering in the countryside. The man asked him, "What are you looking for?" Joseph said, "I am looking for my brothers. Can you tell me, please, where they are tending the flock?" We'll stop with that. There's more. What's going on? I mean, this is a strange insertion into the text. Joseph goes from Chevron towards Shem. He wants to, in the dangerous territory, wants to find his brothers, and he's wandering about. His GPS doesn't work. He doesn't know where he is. And then, suddenly, what happens? Vayimtzaehu ish. A man found him, stumbled upon him. What's the man's name?
Gabriel.
Okay, that was in the category of a, I don't want to use that language on Shabbos, but a smart something or other response, because yes, Rashi says his name was Gabriel. Does that mean that his name was Gabriel in the Torah text? You know that, and I know that. No, it's not there. But thank you for bringing that. Yeah, so where else do we have a story with Jacob being with somebody who doesn't have a name? Where else? If I
In the wrestling with the mysterious Ish, the man in the night.
so I don't know, Jacob is running, Joseph is running around at night, and he bumps into Ish, this anonymous man. Daddy did the same thing. Daddy had this night before he was going to meet Esau, and he wrestled with an Ish, an anonymous person. So obviously the rabbis, in their great wisdom, rabbis always have great wisdom, made a connection between the anonymous Ish that Jacob wrestled with and the anonymous Ish who gave Joseph directions, since we assume that the former was an angel, then we assume that the latter is an angel. And then Effie turns out to be right, which I don't like to say. And the angel apparently is Gabriel. But why, Effie, Gabriel? Dafka, precisely, particularly, why Gabriel? I mean, it could have been Michael, Michael, it could have been a whole bunch of other people or angels. Why did they assign Gabriel to this intervention? Any thoughts? In case you are interested, the name of the angel particularly assigned to defend, protect the Jewish people, that angel is Gabriel. Gabriel is our angel. So in case you ever want to, send a message to an angel, Gabriel has been assigned the responsibility of caring for the people of Israel. That Gabriel is the guardian angel of Israel, a very mysterious figure. This is Rashi. Ibn Ezra, who doesn't like what Effie said, Ibn Ezra says, he was just a guy. He was just a guy. Ibn Ezra says, why is Rashi making him into an angel and making him into this? He's just a guy. So you have these two people, just a guy.
Why don't you say that?
Oh, wait a second. I can't hear that conversation, Harv. You got to share it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Isn't Gabriel the angel of justice? And what part does that have to do with Joseph?
I'm not able to answer that question. I could look it up as to the particular assignment of, Gavriel speaks to God's power. God is powerful, Gabriel. Is Gabriel specifically a God of justice? I'd have to Google that. I don't know.
Harvey's suggesting it because he read it in Pirkei Avot.
Yeah,
Remember the quote?
I can get it.
Okay, that would actually be helpful because I'm curious. If I walk away from our encounter on a Shabbos morning and learn something new and fun, I want that to happen if I can. Okay, so Brad, are you?
Well, Yeah, I was just going to say, Gabriel was also appropriated by Christianity in that he's the angel that announces to Mary the birth of Jesus in the famous Annunciation scenes. So the fact that it was appropriated by Christianity might lead later scholars to be a little bit hesitant about Gabriel here in this context.
Oh, I don't know. Just because they did cultural appropriation doesn't mean we have to give up on Gabriel. He's a good angel. But okay, what do you have, Harv?
It says on page 385, chapter 6:4. Throughout Jewish theological sources, we find that angels are given unique attributes such as Michael, angel of mercy, Gabriel, angel of justice, Raphael, angel of healing, and Uriel, angel of illumination. So that's where I got it from.
That's interesting because, it's a good quote. Thank you for that. When you think about Uriel, the name speaks about light. When you speak about Raphael, the name actually contains the root of healing, the healing one. Gabriel, Michael, there's some wonderful incantations. If you want to get involved in Zoharistic activity and want to invoke and bring angels into your lives, I can help you do that. Ramban, and by the way, thank you. That's fun. No, thank you for doing that. Ramban looks at Joseph wandering around and he sees a problem. Ramban, Nachmanides, looks at the wandering of Joseph and says, you know what, folks? God has to get Joseph to find his brothers in order to move the story forward. If there is going to be an Israelite people, if there is going to be a promised land, if there's going to be a Mount Sinai, if there's going to be all of that stuff, Joseph must find his brothers. Now, Steve Miller, Mona, not here today, but what do we call in playwriting, in literature, the sudden appearance of somebody who fixes a Marina?
Deus ex machina.
Wait, Marina?
Yeah, I wanted to say the same. Deus ex machina.
Yes. Yeah. God out of the machine, right? Deus ex machina. So as a literary device, the author has to get this wandering Joseph to encounter his brothers so he can be sold into Egypt, so the enslavement could occur, so the Exodus could occur, so the giving of Torah at Sinai could occur. If Joseph today is still wandering in the desert, we are not the people we are. So Ramban is saying, don't get carried away with anything. God steps in to fix history and to move things forward. And I quote, a heavenly guide is sent to ensure that Joseph gets to where he must be. Okay, Fern.
Did you just say that God steps in? Did I miss something about when God stops stepping in, supposedly?
Okay, DEUSEXMACHINA. First of all, that's the phrase, and in literature doesn't really mean God.
No, I understand that, but you said that we're taught from that God needed to step in to do something, but we're also taught that God stopped stepping in.
Okay, and this, first of all, I have to give credit to my source, which is Ramban, who says that God had to step in and move the action forward.
But why would he say that if, in fact, the belief is that at some point God stops stepping in? And if God didn't stop stepping in, we have a whole different problem about what he doesn't step in about.
Ramban didn't have that problem. In his time, in his age, in his world, God steps in. That chronologically, not a problem.
When did it stop? When was it perceived then that God stopped stepping in? Probably by the time the Holocaust happened, but
Well, I'm going to answer, and it's probably going to put everyone to sleep really fast, that by the time you get to Spinoza, by the time you get to the axis between Spinoza and Kant and Mendelssohn and the early modern philosophers of religion, including Jewish, Kant not Jewish, God stepping in becomes not something they look to. So it didn't take the Holocaust to drive this issue. I think there's an existential thing here. You live long enough and you see it doesn't happen, or it happens in such a way that you can't make any sense out of it. So, but Ramban, Nachmanides, his day, wouldn't understand your question. He would say, yeah, oh God had to step in, God had to make it happen. And why? Because, folks, this is a story of the birth of the Jewish people. And we've got to go from here to the Red Sea, to Mount Sinai, to Canaan. That's not going to happen if Joseph is still out there bouncing around in the sand dunes. Okay, Effie.
Yeah, there's a footnote in my book that says, and a certain man, this is Gabriel, he gets that from Dan 9:21, and the man Gabriel. There's a sentence in Dan 9:21 that says, and the man Gabriel.
Okay.
So they use man here. He just assumes it's the same man that's in.
Hey, we're doing really well. Next week, I'd like to suggest that you please stop reading additional text. It would make my life easier if I'm the only one who knew the answers. Okay, now, it's a beautiful example of how a biblical text does refer to Gabriel once as Va'ish Gabriel, that the man Gabriel, and then takes the word ish from that text, connects it to our text and say, see, he was referred to as an ish over there, that's Gabriel. So he's referred to as an ish over here, that's the same Gabriel. Okay, that is a legitimate form of rabbinic argumentation. It is that those of us who operate more in an Aristotelian world would not find it persuasive, but who cares about that? They found a language connection, Ha'ish Gabriel, the man, the Ish, same person. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave you with that. Yeah, that's fine. Hi, baby. Little kitty is here doing Torah. Okay, so now what happens here? A man appeared. He was wandering the countryside. Whom are you looking for? Where are my brothers? By the way, what a good news that in the middle of the desert, wandering around, lost totally, he runs into a person who knows exactly where his brothers are. And Effie, I assume you're comfortable with that as well as the narrative bounces along. Now, the man said they left this place. Yes, I heard them say, let's go to Dotan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dotan. Effie, I'm going to throw one back at you, okay? Dotan. So one of the rabbis making a commentary on this will say, Dotan, where does that name come from? Dotan. Why did he come up with that? Hello, you want to study Torah? Good girl. It comes from dot, this rabbi would say. Dot is religion. It could be understood as rationale. So why did they go to Dotan? Because they were looking for a rationale to murder Joseph. I think that is very extended, but it's fun. There it is. So that explains Dotan, maybe. And it is happy to note that Rashi bounces in on that guy and says, Ve'en mikra yotze midei pshuto. Folks, the Torah doesn't go that far out of its simple meaning. Leave it alone. That's far away from where we need to be. Good old Rashi. Okay. Now, so Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dotan. Verse 16 is one of those phrases which at least semi-informed Jews can use with ease. Et achai anochi mevakesh. That is a big social justice. That is a flag, a slogan, right? You put on if you're marching for justice. Nowadays, we'd have to say, you'd have to say, well, I'm looking for my siblings, fine. But et achai anochi mevakesh. It is one of those sentences that bounces out of the Torah text and lives independently and forever. What's going on, Stan? Et achai anochi mevakesh. I'm looking for my brothers. You can do all the sermons, all the social action stuff, all the tikkun olam stuff. It's a fabulous motto. Because isn't that what we're doing as human beings? Et achai anochi mevakesh. Anyway, I do like it. So now the text gets a little bit tense. The brothers saw him in the distance, and before he neared them, they wickedly plotted against him to bring about his death. By the way, I again like the more active expression in the Hebrew. I am prejudiced. The English says to bring about his death. The Hebrew says to kill him. That's really what's going on. So here, Stanley asks a very simple question. How did they recognize him from a great distance?
His halo.
Huh?
His halo.
Effie, you're pushing me a little bit today. Okay.
Probably his bright coat of many colors.
Yeah. He had this electric zoot suit that he was wearing as a gift from Dad. And in case there were any problems that the brothers couldn't see him in advance, this, may I say, very effete young man on Broadway portrayed as blonde and flashy clothing and this kind of stuff. So he is off in the distance and they see this flash of color. Oh, guess who's here? And then they realize where they are and the opportunity they have, and they want to kill him. The rabbis try to save the brothers a little bit. One rabbi says, you know, the whole discussion wasn't whether or not to kill him, but could we do it bloodlessly? I mean, it's pasnish. It's not good for a brother to kill a brother in a bloody way. Can we kill him in a less than bloody way? And that made some of the commentators happy. They saw him in the distance. They wickedly plotted to kill him. They said to one another, here comes that master of dreams. The Hebrew, master of dreams. The Hebrew, I read as really harsh. The word that strikes me is halazeh.
Rabbi, forgive me for interrupting. Is that your cat meowing or is my cat in trouble?
We interrupt this Torah study to point out that my cat wants to get out of the room. The door is shut.
Okay, good. Then I don't have to worry.
You don't have to worry. She is now standing straight up, reaching for the handle. And yes, Torah is good. By the way, the last thing I want to leave us with before we do Kaddish is she's now on her back, looking pitiful.
She has to go to the bathroom.
Okay. Well, she didn't like all this discussion of killing. She's gone. Okay. It's sometimes easier to kill or to plan a murder when the person isn't directly in front of you. And the rabbis will go into conversations about this too. Have you ever seen the movie Eye in the Sky? The movie Eye in the Sky deals with a drone operator back in the United States who is controlling a drone, who is going to make a strike against, I'm forgetting, Iraqi or Afghani site where terrorists are there. And the moral debate, they are perfectly happy blowing up a house in the middle of a community. Then they see a little girl walking around. And then the ease of killing becomes much more complicated, much more complicated. I do recommend that movie.
Rabbi, when they say, here comes that dreamer, is that an example of sarcasm? Is this the first example of sarcasm in literature?
I don't know. Halazeh I read as dismissive. That dreamer, sneer. Halazeh is not if it had only said hazeh. But halazeh is, the way I read Hebrew, really dismissive. There's that miserable dreamer. I think that's what intended. Okay, I got a reference to the David Brooks editorial. Thank you, Fern. Proof of invent. Okay, names. Add the Gilbert Salka. Will absolutely do. And now we will do that. Fern, it's on the list. It's on the published list from Wilshire. So that's good. That is very good. We mentioned those who have passed away during the past month. Philip Bartmasser, Dennis Karen, Rena, Rosa, Eliashar, Harriet Eport, Harry Golden, Yafa Hagnazarzadeh, William Leisner, Shirley Linde, Estelle Markowitz, Helen Walder Rogaway, Ronnie Vine, Barbara Werlich. Yard sites that occurred during the past week: Celia Adler, Julius Adler, Isaac Alex, Barbara Alpert, Sarah Ansel, Harry Arden, Irene Bacharach, Sam Bailey, Sarah Barenboim, Gertrude Barnathan, William Becker, Jerry Bendit, Beth Benson, Philip Berner, Faye Albin Bolanek, Yehuda Budel, Ralph Bookman, Joseph Brandis, Leo Brandis, Sam Breitbart, Evelyn Buckspan, Charlie Berger, Reva Burstein, Rochelle Canali, Earl Cherniak, Max Coleman, Ruth Rebecca Cohn, Ruth Rubin, Harry Epstein, Sanford Fagadev, Anna Feinberg, William Feinberg, Betty Feldman, Phoebe Feldman, Gieser Fish, Hyman Fischler, Nathan Fleischer, Robert Frank, Melanie Freistadt, Morris Martin Glass, Lawrence Lucan, Abraham Goldberg, Martin Goldman, Richard Goldstein, Sam Gordon, Lisa Gruner, Joseph Haddad, Bertha Heitner, Richard Heller, Benjamin Holm, Victor Israel, Celia Jacobson, Max Kaplan, Madeline Carnes, Beth Katzinger, Alexis Brooke Kaufman, Leslie Keller, Richard Harold Kent, Meyer Kessler, Harriet King, Eva Kirshner, Max Cole, Jonathan Konov, Paulina Konov, Carl Kassauer, Arnold Kroll, Joseph Labens, Nat Levy, Lois Livehaber, Pearl Lindholm, Sarah Lipo, Alan Malin, Arlene Matthews, Neil Mendelson, Daniel Miller, Joseph Mittler, Marie Moran, Peter Meyerson, Bernice Parker, Joan Perlmutter, Dorothy Plager, Molly Pearl Post, Donald Relkin, Irving Revitz, Francis Richter, John Rosenblum, Alpha Marie Russell, Benjamin Sachs, Yedidia Saleh, Gilbert Solka, Francine Salter, Carol Schachter, Rose Schneider, Nancy Schmidt, Pauline Schulman, Mary Schaefer, David Stewart Schur, Goldie Silverstein, Ivan Sloan, George Smith, Harry Sobin, Richard Sonnenberg, Ralph Stacker, Irving Stearns, Martin Sternberg, Herman Sugarman, Bernard Tooman, Sidney Wax, Leon Wallace, Leslie Weitzman, Hannah Wolf, Leora Wolf, Frank Lobans, Martin Young, Charles Slotkin. If you have other names to add, I would ask that you speak them in your heart or out loud at this time. If I mispronounced a name, I apologize and ask that you speak the correct pronunciation at this time.
My mother, Rose Shohan, was not on the list. Her yahrzeit was the 29th of this month, so.
Okay, what's important, it's a very important point. Contact the office, and if you don't want to do that, send me the information. I'll send it into the office.
Thank you very much.
Sure, George, absolutely. Yitgadal, V'yitkadash,
Shmei Rabo.
V'alma, Kivra, Kirite, V'yamlich Malchute, V'chayechon V'yomechon, V'chayedechol Beit
Beis
Yisrael,
Yisrael. Man,
Avizmon Kariv, V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mavarach, V'alam L'Amayamaya, V'barach V'yishtabach, V'pa'ar V'tromam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'taleh V'talal, V'chu. Le'ela min kol birach hata v'shivita. Tush pakata v'yimru. Da'miran B'alma V'imru.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shema. V'chayim. Aleinu
V'yalchol Yisrael.
V'imru Amen. Useh Shalom. Igramav.
Uya.
Aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'yalchol
Yisrael.
V'imru.
Amen.
Amen. May God who makes peace in the high places make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for today. Thank you. Thank you. Sending you love. Be well. Doris, send me a note.
I will. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Happy weekend.
Okay.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.